Hello and welcome to FTTR. I am Hugh McQuaid, and this is the first instalment of the weekly wrestling wrap-up, in which I'm talking about the biggest news stories in the wrestling world and sort of going on about them and giving you my opinions on them. Great intro right there. That's what the show's going to be. It's going to be a bit rambly, but we've got a hell of a talking point today. The biggest story, probably in like 2 decades, revolving around WWE, is the scandal, the Vincent Kennedy McMahon scandal that has been unearthed this week. And yeah, we're going to sort of get into that, talk about some of the stuff, the ramifications, everything that's sort of going on with that. Not going to be that fun. I'll try and make it as entertaining as possible with my insanely charismatic personality. But let's just dive straight into this. So it sort of broke. I think it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday or Tuesday. I think it was Wednesday, leading into Dynamite, that Vincent Kennedy McMahon had paid off an employee, a former employee, of about $3 million with an NDA because they'd had an affair. Now, where this comes into murky water isn't it is the NDA. There's a lot of NDAs here. But the key point in this entire thing and the entire news article is the raise. So let's just go through this. I'll go through this, okay? So allegedly, let's say allegedly on all this, because I don't think it's fully been proven, even though WWE haven't really denied it. Vince McMahon had a sexual relationship with an employee who was, I believe they said a paralegal, something like that. And due to that, he needed it to be covered, so he gave her a $3 million NDA, non-disclosure agreement, so she can't talk about this. There's a lot of other troubling allegations in this, such as the really gross quote saying that apparently he gave her like a toy to John Laurinaitis, which, again, very, very disturbing term of phrase there. And this has sort of brought up a lot of other issues, a lot of other NDAs that could possibly be uncovered. Now, the reason this is sort of lit up like wildfire is because it is such a reputable source that have done this. It's the Wall Street Journal expose on this, who are a very reputable newspaper in America. So there's obviously some sort of credibility to this and all these allegations that have come out. What followed was weird. Very weird. So, of course, Vince getting all this negative press. Rightfully so, because, done a terrible thing. Not just the affair, but covering it up. And a lot of the other stuff. A lot of the other just terrible things that come with that, sort of just the treatment of women in general like that. It's not good. But the defense for Vince is consensual relationship, which, consensual relationship, and the money didn't come from WWE. It was his own personal funds that he used to fund the NDA payments. Where it gets a bit sort of iffy is that this paralegal had a raise. She was on, I believe, $100,000. But after about a year or so, she got a $100,000 raise. She's getting paid $200,000. That is incredibly coincidental, of course. Maybe it was just the fact she's very good at her job, but in like the view of public opinion, there's something not right there. Something not right at all. So what happened next was the WWE didn't really address this that much until they released a statement saying that Vince is stepping down from all CEO and chairman responsibilities while still being in charge of creative. The biggest threat Vince has ever had to power in WWE. And yeah, that was pretty bombastic. It was then followed by the fact that he's going to be replaced by Stephanie McMahon. She's going to be the interim chairwoman for the company. Again, after she took a leave of absence, she's been gone for something like a month. She's now taken over those responsibilities. So there's just so many. Everyone's trying to sort of be the investigator here and put the dots and dots together. Like Stephanie went, and the allegations were known by the board in WWE in April. Maybe she went because of those allegations. Now Vince is gone. Will Vince have any influence over Stephanie? They are, of course, related. So there's a lot of sort of stuff that's up in the air with this. Now, I'm not big in law whatsoever. I try to understand it. Where I'm going to come down on this is this following bit. So it was announced on Thursday, or was it Friday morning? Probably Friday morning, that Vince McMahon would be appearing live on SmackDown just days after these allegations came. Now, if I was in that kind of trouble, would I address people on live TV? No, I don't think I would. I don't think that's the smartest thing to do, because where's that going to get you at all? You're just going to bring so much sort of heat on you, the company, because it looks dickish. I don't know how else to say it. It looks like a prick move, because you've got all this swirling allegations and just murky, awful stuff, and then you're just appearing on TV like, yeah, it's fine, don't bother me, doesn't faze me, nothing to see here. And I think that's really, really damning on Vince as a person. So what happened was, he came out on SmackDown, he basically explained the highlight package from the beginning of the show, then, now, together, forever, then, now, forever, together. It's the one. He explained that, and then said, welcome to SmackDown. It's like, I don't understand. It seems very obviously a ratings grab to sort of move the needle for SmackDown, to make it a must-see piece of TV. Even with the Roman Reigns Matt Riddle match. But it just screams almost desperate and narcissistic. And very, very, and I know this has been pointed out by other people before, but it feels very, very Donald Trump, in that when Donald Trump would get attacked, he'd get ripped apart, and he'd hold a rally, and he'd get all these people around him who love him and just want to see him do well. And that's what I felt like it was here. And it was not a good look in the slightest. Honestly, one of the most confusing pieces of car crash TV, and just gross display of humanity ever, maybe. And that's sort of where we are now. Vince is in charge of creative. He's not in charge of the CEO running of the board and stuff like that. And we're just sort of in this limbo of what's going to happen with this company. What is going to happen? These allegations are very serious. Very serious. And so he should rightfully come under a lot of scrutiny, but the way he's sort of been throwing it off and being so sort of casual about it on SmackDown makes me think that it's not fazed him whatsoever. Which it should, because he should answer for some of the things that he's done. I feel like, speculating again, this is going to be Laurinaitis is going to go and Vince is going to stay. That seems to be the way that this is going. In the long term, I think this is really, really harmful. If for example, WWE is trying to sell, dependent on who they're trying to sell it to, there's now sort of a big shroud over this. A big cloud of ickiness. Because if I'm Disney and I'm potentially wanting to buy WWE, I'm looking at that thinking, why? It's almost like a tainted name now, and that's the reason this is so different, because there's been lots of allegations about Vince before, but they've never really been picked up by sort of mainstream publications. I think the biggest, most recent example was John Oliver on his show, sort of ripping Vince McMahon apart for all his disgusting ways he treats his wrestlers and stuff like that. That is probably the most sort of, it's the most recent example of someone going up against Vince, and it didn't really catch that much attention, unfortunately, because I love John Oliver. I think he's dead funny. So where does this go? The answer to that is, I do not know. I don't know in the slightest. It could just fade away, fizzle away, or this could be the sort of the stepping stone or the hill, the avalanche of crap, let's say that takes Vince McMahon away from WWE, and we see a WWE that is not led by Vince and his creative vision. Because you've got to think, if they find out something really nasty in these investigations, you've got to think he's done in creative as well. He's absolutely done in creative. I don't think they'd keep him on in any sort of capacity. Maybe it'd be a case of George Lucas, where they took some of his ideas, they took all his things, paid him a lot of money, and now George is not involved in Star Wars in slightest. It's incredibly disturbing and interesting. I think as human beings we sort of have that, don't we? We like this weird, disgusting stuff and shady business deals. So yeah, I want to know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Let me know about your opinions on Vince. What do you think's next for Vince? And yeah, what is going to happen? Shall we move on to some lighter things? I say lighter things. It's still bad news for WWE, but that is weird that Randy Orton is out injured, potentially till 2023. This is due to back injuries, which is why we've got the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match, which I've already had a video on. You can check that out on my channel. Poor Randy. I feel like he was on the run of his career. He was really gelling well with Matt Riddle here. They were honestly probably the two top babyfaces in WWE, besides Cody, but Cody's gone as well. And maybe Drew, but Drew also feels like he's cooled off completely. Hopefully we'll get Randy back very soon, because Randy, I think, is a key asset to WWE. You look at some of the matches that he had on pay-per-view this year, and he is one of the most over acts in the company. His hot tags are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, the amount of sort of crowd reaction he gets from them. And it'll be a shame to see him out, and I never thought I'd say that. I've never been a massive Randy Orton fan, but WWE needs some top babyface stars. They really do. They're in a bit of a crisis now, which is why they hit glass. Here comes Brock, the Brock button. They're in a real situation with babyfaces because they haven't got any credible ones whatsoever. Even Edge, who they've just turned, but he's sort of going to be feuding with Judgment Day, I would think. So you've got Randy, you've got Riddle, you've got AJ, but even AJ feels so low. He hasn't won a pay-per-view match in nearly a year, which is insane to think. But Randy as a whole, I hope he's back soon. I hope he's back in time for maybe the Rumble. Can you imagine if we get a Rumble in which we see the return of Cody and Orton? I think that'd be a really nice pop. Maybe Orton enters at number 1 and Cody enters at 30. That'd be fun. I think that'd be really fun. So hopefully Orton gets better soon, and yeah, we'll see where that goes. We'll see where Riddle goes from here. Hopefully up. On to some AEW news now, and this is wild. I can't believe they were going to do this. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe I'm whispering like this. But it has since been revealed that the Hardys were supposed to win the tag team titles this past week, if not due to the Jeff Hardy incidents. Why would they do this? Now, you all know, everyone on this channel should know, I am a massive Jeff Hardy fan. Absolutely love Jeff Hardy. He's one of my favourite wrestlers in the world ever, and he's given me some of my fondest memories as a wrestling fan. That being said, he should be nowhere near the tag team titles. Absolutely nowhere near them, because he's not in a physical state to be doing so. Even Matt's competent in the ring, but I feel like that match at Double or Nothing, even though I enjoyed it for what it was the Young Bucks carrying them. And I never thought I'd say that, but they were being carried to a good match via the Young Bucks. And this reeks of nostalgia. Maybe they said, Jeff, come to AEW and you can win the tag titles with your brother, but there was no need to even consider putting the belts on the Hardys. The Hardys work best now in very small doses. You don't want the extreme matches, you don't want the ladder matches, the Falls Count Anywhere matches, because they're just not, they can't do it anymore, I'm afraid. And that Derby match, if Jeff had legit right, let's get legit. I think that Derby match with Jeff, if Derby had won, that would have been a perfect send-off for Jeff, doing his style of wrestling with someone who everyone has called sort of the millennial, or not the millennial, Gen Z. Let's go with Gen Z. This generation's, let's go with that, Jeff Hardy, which is Darby Allin. I struggle to watch the Hardys, and ever since, the DUI, which I've not addressed because it just makes me sad. It makes me sad for Jeff. It's not good. It's really not good. Jeff needs help, and he needs to stay away from these matches. He needs to just go on the back burner, get himself right, and hopefully he can come back better than ever. In a good mental state, in a good physical state, but stay away from the ladder matches and everything like that. Jeff should just do catch as catch can, mat wrestling, okay? This is Bryan Danielson. No, but seriously, all the best to Jeff. I hope he gets the help he needs and wants, because that's the important thing. He's got to want this. He's got to want to get better. I know that Tony Khan has suspended him for the time being, and until he gets help, I think that's the right decision. So good play by AEW. And yeah, Hardy's for tag gold. Definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, so this is tasty. We had Zack Sabre Jr. from New Japan call out the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. This was at the Dominion 2022 show, in which Zack Sabre Jr. basically just called out Blackpool Combat Club, that's the dream match right there. Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. They would put on probably the greatest wrestling match of all time, maybe. And yeah, that just should happen. It absolutely should happen. That Forbidden Door is shaping up to be maybe not as many dream matches as maybe we thought we were getting, because get Punk's out, Mox versus Tanahashi, sure. The Jericho 6-person match is strange, but okay. You've got Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay, and you've got Rosa versus Storm, which I think would be great. I think you've got another match on there that I can't think of off the top of my head. So, just where does Forbidden Door go? I think it needs something big. Now, I can potentially see us getting Cole versus Okada, because the line that just sticks out to me is Cole saying, what did he say? Is Cole saying Okada isn't even here? Which just seemed like a weird sort of call out to Okada. And Jay White versus Page should also be a singles match. So I think Cole versus Okada would be great, and also Paige versus White for the IWGP Championship. That'd be fun. I think I'd like a lot of singles matches here, because I think that's the way it should be. It should be sort of dream matches, one-on-ones down the card that you really want to see. And maybe that's the expectation I went into Forbidden Door with, is that we were going to get these dream matches. And maybe that's why I'm a little bit underwhelmed, because I don't feel like it's fully delivered on those, unless they're saving some for down the road. But I think adding Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. to the card would be a terrific addition. Absolutely terrific. That could even main event if you really wanted to. If billed correctly, that could be the Forbidden Door main event, and Mox Tanahashi could be the match, sort of not the undercard, you know what I mean, co-main. So yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson. Give it to us, pretty please. And the final piece of news that I will talk about right now, because it has been confirmed since my video went up, is that Sasha Banks has officially been released by WWE. Multiple sources are claiming that they've spoke to people inside WWE, the insiders, if you will, and they have indeed released her, which is crazy to think that Banks has gone. You've had two big defections this year. You've had Cody from AEW, and now you've had Banks from WWE. It is just, I'm so excited for the future of Sasha Banks, because she wasn't happy there. She wasn't. We can tell. You can tell from everything that's come out that she was not happy with her position in WWE. And I think moving her across to a different promotion, maybe even going in to do acting, I think is a great step for her. And I'd really love to see her sort of do well in either AEW, or she's going to come with a hefty price tag. I was about to say Impact, but I don't know if to be able to get her Impact. So probably AEW. But there's so much she could do. She could even go to Japan and do stuff over there. Imagine boss in Joshi Promotions. It's just great. It's just great to see her free. And I'm going to use that word free, because she was someone who was creatively tied down in WWE, and she can now hopefully flourish. Unknown as to what's happening with Naomi. Maybe she's not leaving, because obviously her husband works in WWE. So we'll have to see where this all goes. But Sasha Banks has been released from WWE. I think it's pretty much official now, apart from a statement from the WWE themselves. So yeah, crazy, absolutely crazy week of wrestling news right here. And yeah, I hope everyone here, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, guys, and have a nice day.